Feud. Now, this is a Ryan Murphy. Now, if you recognise that name, you'll know him from American Horror Story,
American Crime Story,
anything with America in it. And you can definitely tell his influence. If you're a fan of his work, then you can certainly see that. You may have heard, I think we mentioned it on the show last week, that the next series of this show is going to be based on Charles and Diana, potentially. And this series is based on a very 50s Hollywood argument, or feud, as it were, between...
60s.
50s into 60s, I'll give you that.
The production of the film takes place in the 60s.
And yet the interviews take place in the 80s, so... They basically start telling the story from the viewpoint of another Hollywood actress, Olivia de Havilland. And she's played by somebody that I recognise, but I couldn't give you the name.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Thought I recognised. She was wearing a wig. And basically they're trying to tell you...
You couldn't watch the Americans. No wonder you had to stop. If they're all wearing wigs, you completely lose...
I know, I'll be stuck. I can't work out who's who. This talks about the Hollywood fight between Joan Crawford and Bette Davis, both of which were Oscar-winning actresses in their 20s and 30s, both on big Hollywood contracts, which before the war was a big thing. You know, studios owned actors and actresses rather than them being able to make shows wherever they wanted. Both of them were in the sort of latter parts of their career, and it starts off with a big part about Joan Crawford and about how in her later life she wasn't being offered good parts. She hadn't worked for 3 years. She was having money problems. Her rich husband had died, and I assume she'd either drank or smoked away the fortune. You learn how she basically finds this book, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and kind of forces the director, played brilliantly by Alfred Molina, to get the movie made. And it's Jessica Lange that's playing Joan Crawford, is that right?
Yeah.
Now, the other part of it is that there's this feud that's been ongoing with Bette Davis, who's played by...
Susan Sarandon.
Susan Sarandon, thank you. Joan Crawford convinces Bette Davis, who's doing bit parts on Broadway, to come back to Hollywood and act in this movie with her. It's a role for older women.
I'll get you the perfect co-star.
What do you have in mind?
Betty, I promise you this is going to be the greatest horror movie ever made.
Why this picture?
We feel like Crawford and Davis may be a little long in the tooth. Why don't we go just a little bit younger?
You want me to work with her again? Are you crazy? Never! Never again!
Care to comment on the fact that Miss Crawford says you look old enough to beat her mother?
You gotta keep them at each other's throats. You have to.
Lose the shoulder pads. I beg your pardon. And cut back on the lipstick. You're playing a recluse who hasn't seen the sun for 20 years, for Christ's sake.
I might have something, but you didn't hear it from me.
Blind item, my specialty. You are just trying to throw me. I'm trying to help you. I don't want to end up a joke, Bob. You won't let me look ridiculous.
Of course not.
Pure, naked rancor. I love it. I want more.
And action.
I barely touched her.
Did you get it?
It's an awful lot of plot and story before anything really happens, isn't it? It's a lot of explaining what happens at the time. And again, there's a lot of famous people in this, a lot of star power, again, being used. What did you guys think? I mean, obviously, they go on to make the movie, and you know, obviously the movie is fraught with problems. You know, one of the best scenes is where Joan Crawford's character finds out that she's being paid £600 less in expenses. It's all a battle of wills and ego, isn't it?
The thing you sort of didn't mention there, Gary, was that it's sort of the reason that they want to make this movie is to almost play off the feud between the two of them that is well known in Hollywood.
I didn't really get that impression that they wanted to do that. I felt it was more, there were no good roles. This was the only good role, and it needed two.
I think that's part of the reason that she wanted Bette Davis to play Baby Jane.
Because people knew that it would... Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's all about the one-upsmanship between the two. As someone who knows quite a lot about this sort of early Hollywood system, I think it's sort of well done and certainly well researched. I was reading that Ryan Murphy had like about a 4-hour interview with Bette Davis just before she died, and was able to get a lot.
Died? 4 hours.
Well,
I've never spoken to anyone for that long ever.
Well, apparently it was meant to be about
sandwich or anything.
Apparently it was meant to be about 20 minutes, but it went on for 4 hours. A lot of
it's like one of our best of the year podcasts.
Oh, don't. Surely that was 4 hours.
But it does feel like he has got a great love for this era. I mean, the performances, especially from Susan Sarandon, who I think is brilliant as Bette Davis, and as you mentioned, Alfred Molina and Stanley Tucci, and I love both of their performances in this. I think they're both great actors. It is all a bit overblown style-wise, the ominous sort of music. I know it's sort of the Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. It was almost too much for me.
I agree with Gary. A lot of it took a long time to get to the feud. I think it was 59 minutes this episode, and if it had been a really tight 40 or something, it would have taken that out, because the whole time you know what it's about and you want to get there. As soon as it got there and the two were on set and working together, I really, really enjoyed it and really, really bought into it. I've never liked any of Ryan Murphy's stuff. I think he always has something in there that spoils it, like David Schwimmer in blooming O.J. Simpson last year. That spoiled the whole show for me, because he would pop up saying juice every 5 minutes and take me out of the action. This, at this stage, didn't have something that ruined it for me. All that I would say is on the downside was that it took a long time to get to the point I wanted it to get to. It could have started halfway through and I wouldn't have felt like I'd missed anything.
I suppose what he's doing is he's setting up the background, but he's done it too much.
That being said, now we've got that, I will watch the next one to see where it goes.
Yeah, I'll watch the next one as well, yeah.
I don't think I will, I'm afraid.
Well, it's another short one, it's another 8, so...
Yeah. Well, I don't think I will, because I'm not as interested in the subject matter. I can appreciate the style of the show.
Do you have to be interested in the background? Can you not go, oh, this is an interesting story and the performances are very good? I know you've said before you didn't give Mad Men a go because you weren't into advertising. Does that mean that you... No,
I don't think there's enough in here to keep me going. I just don't know. I mean... I don't think it's the same as Mad Men, where it's the subject matter. I just think I'm just not that invested or bothered.
Would you like a fourth opinion from one of our listeners?
Yes.
Yay!
They're here right now.
Somebody's going to talk some sense. Go.
This is from a regular email, Elizabeth Gardner from Austin, Texas. She didn't know we were talking about Feud, but she emailed in because obviously, as we said last week, we'd like to know people are watching... Yeah. She starts by saying she's going to sign up to CBS All Access once all the episodes of The Good Fight are on there. She's going to sign up just for a week. Pay for a week, watch them all.
10 days.
Yeah, but she could do 2 or 3 in a day.
Yeah. New
miniseries from Ryan Murphy called Feud, story of Bette Davis and Joan Crawford's strained relationship. Critics who have seen 5 of the 8 episodes have questioned why they needed so much time to tell this story. I'll have to see if I start wondering the same thing. Watching Lange and Sarandon act like the actresses they've put there portraying is very entertaining, in my opinion.
I have to say, I was more interested by the end than I thought I would be.
Actually, my nan would have loved this, because she was a big Joan Crawford fan. All these... I think the thing is where I'm not interested... All these little references they're making to Mildred Pierce, Kirk Douglas, and people and films that they're talking about, I've not seen, and I'm not a fan.
Well, nor have I, nor have I have any interest in.
I have.
I know. What I'm saying is, the older generation who will have seen those things might have an interest in seeing this. This might be a very good kind of BBC Two show.
There's some Effin and Jeffin in there as well, though.
There's a bit of Eff and Jeff, our friends Eff and Jeff.
That's what FX must stand for, I think.
But
I think FX is just Effin sex. I think that's what it stands for. So, to sum up, it doesn't have a UK home. Gary's done in one. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And in a podcast first, Matt has said he will keep going.
Now,